on Nerdist News. Now, the Last Jedi trailer is finally here, and it's full of all kinds of goodies and insights, as well as confirming a ton of rumors we've read about, so let this be your spoiler warning, because we're diving into the deep end on this one. Ready? Yes! Okay. So when we open, we think that we're in the middle of a starfield, but surprise, that was just a fake out. We're actually on Ahch-To with Rey, who is looking like she's just been put through the Jedi Training ringer. She's dirty, she's sweaty, and she's got some workout clothes on that look very reminiscent of the ones Luke was wearing when he went through his Jedi training back on Dagobah. Already we see pieces from Empire popping into the story. Then in shots 2 and 3, we get some establishing glimpses of Ahch-To along with some VO from Luke, his very first words we've ever heard spoken in the new trilogy, where he tells Rey to just breathe. Now, what may be most interesting about these shots is not what we see, but what we don't see. The Millennium Falcon here is nowhere in sight, so what happened after Chewie dropped her off at the end of The Force Awakens? Did he go park the car on some other island? Or did he have to take off after finding out that he was needed elsewhere in the universe? Once again, this falls into line with the plot from Empire, where the Millennium Falcon friends jet off on their own adventure while the Junior Jedi get their training on. Next shot, Rey looking over the water, which I'm sure will make a really nice postcard when Disney releases the Last Jedi postcard set this December. And then we get a shot where we see director Rian Johnson make his first real mark on the Star Wars universe. Now, this close-up on little pieces of stone levitating off the ground is very reminiscent of similar shots in his movie Looper. That modern sci-fi classic, by the way, had a lot to do with why Johnson got the Star Wars gig in the first place, so it makes sense that we'd see visual elements of it appear in Episode 8. Examine this shot a little further, and you'll also notice that we can see the sole of Rey's shoe, suggesting that she's sitting cross-legged in a meditation pose, and we can hear Luke say, "Reach out," probably putting the scene at the very start of her training. Then we jump to a beautifully backlit shot of General Leia looking over a holographic map while some Mon Calamari chill off to the side. Listen closely and you'll also hear a small audio tribute to A New Hope as we can faintly hear her classic line. Now, does this mean we're gonna get some sweet Force Ghost action in The Last Jedi? Could Obi-Wan be back? Or is this just meant to evoke the spirit of that classic scene to the original trilogy? Is she looking for someone else who could be her only hope? Like maybe a long-lost twin brother, and uh-oh! It looks like a cranky solo kid was having another one of his dark side tantrums. Oh. Cause check out this shot of a smashed-up Kylo Ren helmet surrounded by shards of shattered glass. Now, this probably isn't his mask from the last movie, cause unless General Hux had the courtesy to grab it after it got dropped, that thing got blown to hell with the rest of the Starkiller base. But we do know Kylo will be getting a new mask in The Last Jedi, and we imagine it happens after he goes ham on this one. We can also hear some more OG dialogue buried in the audio, Vader breathing, accompanied by Obi-Wan saying, which is kind of stating the obvious. We all know Kylo was pretty seduced by the dark side by the time he saber kebabbed his pop, but still pretty cool to hear. Next, we pop into a Jedi Library placed in a very rustic setting. In fact, we think we're inside what's been rumored to be a giant force tree on Ahch-To. What we didn't know is that you could climb inside and build your own Space Wizard reading nook. Now, this Jedi Library is slightly smaller than the Jedi archives we saw in Attack of the Clones. Just a few expertly curated volumes that might very well be the Journal of the Whills. Now, the Journal of the Whills are books containing all known knowledge of the Force, and they actually date back to George Lucas's original draft of Star Wars, but they've recently been appearing in proper Star Wars canon. In Rogue One, for instance, Baze and Chirrut are guardians of the Whills. We also know that Luke has been traveling the galaxy looking for all the first Jedi temples and artifacts, so maybe he grabbed the journals to add to his personal collection. We also hear Yoda saying, "surrounds us and binds us," which could be a reference to the Force, or a reference to the excellent job those first Jedi did binding these books. They've stayed intact for thousands of years, folks. Even Gutenberg would be impressed. Let me just state now, I did not write that joke, and nor do I approve it. That's a stretch. Needless to say. We then move into a close-up of the book where we see the old Jedi symbol, which is very similar to the one that we see on the new poster, and we hear Rey say, "the balance," a theme that will become more and more important as the trailer goes on. Next up, more Jedi training. Luke is teaching Rey his patented swinging your lightsaber randomly at technique. Plus, we hear him say, "it's so much bigger." But what is so much bigger? This planet, the whole galaxy, or maybe the Force itself? Could the Force be bigger than just the light side and the dark side? But no time to contemplate on that, because this is when the trailer really kicks into high gear. In the next two shots, we find ourselves on what director Rian Johnson just revealed to EW is called Crate, an all-new planet that used to be the location of an old rebel base. Crate is way out there. It's uncharted, said Johnson. It ends up playing a key role in the movie, saying that the skimmers, which I guess is what they're calling those ships, show up where they have to deal with a very pressing and immediate issue. And what better place than an old rebel base to have the Battle of Hoth 2.0? If you look out over the horizon, you'll notice a bunch of AT-ATs lumbering towards our heroes. The skimmers appear to be headed into a confrontation very similar to the one we saw at the beginning of Empire, so let's just hope that the tow cable is strong with them.
Good shot, Johnson!
I loved those tow cables. Then we see Finn looking all sleepy time in his fancy new back-to-pod. Notice this isn't like back-to-tanks of the OG trill. Since the early days of Episode 8 production, we've heard rumors that he's going to be rocking a back-to-suit to help heal his injured body, and that's what we think we're getting a glimpse of here. Now, there are some details, including a bunch of text on the pod that we noticed. Of course, we here at Nerdist aren't super up on our Arabesh, so we couldn't be sure what it said, but Donna Dickens from Uprocks came to the rescue and translated the word stable, and oh thank God, because I was so worried Finn wasn't gonna make it. But he's in stable condition, and on the right we see the number 72, which we're gonna call right now. It's his heart rate. Oh. Next, we cut to Finn's bae, Poe, hauling ass with BB-8 down the halls of a resistance ship under attack, but from whom? Logic would tell us it's Snoke's First Order forces, but then the next shot confirms it. Notice the corner of that bay door as his X-Wing blows up. That's a First Order missile similar to the type used by the space Nazis in Force Awakens when Finn and Poe escaped that Star Destroyer. Then, because this is a Star Wars trailer, we get our requisite Millennium Falcon shot, getting harassed by the requisite TIE fighters. Do those clouds look like Octu clouds to you? Would TIE fighters show up there? Is that Chewie piloting or Rey? So many questions for such a familiar beat. Next shot, we've got Rey running at full speed with her ignited lightsaber at dusk. Now, we've read reports that Kylo and his Ren boys would be attacking Octu at night, and the panic on her face seems to tell us that she is racing to address that situation. And then we see Kylo Ren, and look! That scar isn't so bad! There is also a fire in the background, which might confirm those rumors that Kylo is going to burn down the Force tree on Octu to draw out Luke Skywalker. This could be part of their big confrontation. Coming hot off of that, it looks like we got a new angle from Rey's Force Awakens Force Vision, that famous vignette where a fully cloaked Luke touches R2. Now in this new shot, we see a building burning in the background, and in The Force Awakens, we learned that Kylo Ren destroyed the new Jedi Order that Luke was training. Is that Luke's new temple or Jedi Academy? An incident like this would probably, most likely, almost certainly, leave Luke bitter enough to ditch R2 and go into hiding, and judging from how he's dropping to his knees, he looks pretty bummed out. We then get our first look at Captain Phasma. While she is not rocking that spear that we have heard about, it does look like they edited the shot to match up with the burning Jedi Temple shot, but the details don't add up. The doorway, floor, and debris make it look like Phasma and crew are boarding the rebel ship where Poe's X-Wing got blown up. Next up, we've got the resistance ships under attack over what looks to be a new planet. Could this be the long-speculated casino planet that we've been hearing about? Not sure, but what we do know is those ships are the New Republic capital ships, the Mark I Starhawk frigates from the Aftermath novels, and we're not sure, but those A-Wings in battle look a little more elongated than their original Trill counterparts. And finally, we come to the money shot. Luke looking good in that sporty robe, reflecting out his Force tree window like this was friggin' Dawson's Creek. Now, if you brighten the image a little bit, you can see Rey's staff in the corner. Then we hear Luke say he knows only one thing.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
And just like that, everything comes together. Who is the last Jedi? Well, it's looking almost certain now that it's Luke himself. Just listen to the sadness in his voice. That's a dude who has lost all faith in what he used to believe in. He's done with the Jedi Order. Now, on stage at the Last Jedi panel, Daisy Ridley said Rey's journey in this film is all about finding out what happens when your heroes don't live up to your expectations, and you can totally see why here. Luke Skywalker, the guy she's looked up to ever since she was just a little sandcrawler on Jakku, isn't the dashing Jedi warrior she thought. He's just a broken down old hermit. But hey, these could be the ashes from which something better could rise. Perhaps a new sect of Force followers which actually manages to balance the light and dark side of the Force. It would help explain the imagery in the new poster where Rey is wielding a lightsaber that blends red and blue, iconic colors for the two dueling sides of the Force. Either way, we'll be digging more into these details in the days to come. But what did you think of the trailer? Bummed that we didn't see Snoke? Still waiting to get your first glimpse of Rose in action? Is Luke bringing down the Jedi to rebrand under a whole new gray line of space monks? Let's discuss. And be sure to tune in every day to Nerdist News Talks Back. It's our live daily show where we break down all of the day's breaking news, pop culture rumors, and just generally have an awesome time. Check it out every weekday at 1 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, and ProjectAlpha.com.